Welcome back, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2, the 1% Club. How are we doing today, my friends? My hair is getting so long, I had to kind of slick it back a little bit now and doing different things with it. I can't believe that I'm at like 530, I think, 1 days when it comes to the monk mode. Not monk mode, but it comes to no fap. And then 50 some days, I think it is 51, 52. I can't remember what it is now. I have to keep track of it all the time. But it is a lifestyle change. And guys, that's the whole key to this whole thing. It is a lifestyle change. And if you saw some of my videos when I first started, all this is kind of grown in. And so I do believe, even at my age of 60, if you can kind of grow this kind of hair, then you guys are going to be wolfmen, like turning into like a wolfman or something like that. I like that. And considering, guys, I had no facial hair for like 58 years, this is kind of funny to me. Interesting, but good. So once again, thank you for all the subscriptions, comments, likes. Even though going through a rough time in our society, I'm kind of having fun with this. I think that hope you guys are enjoying it, getting some good information here, and kind of learning about different things. We learn together on these things. I mean, I'm certainly not an expert on any of this kind of stuff. I can kind of tell you what some of the research that I find says at different times. I can also go ahead and kind of tell you my experiences. But for the most part, guys, we have kind of more of a discussion than anything else. And so as we talk about this, let's talk about one, and this was actually in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and this is another one of these chapters that I'm kind of focusing on, but I want to kind of take it when it comes to retention. Now, we all have probably seen the movie Spider-Man, and I used to collect, and I used to have a large collection of old Spider-Man books now and things like that, and I love going back to the old Marvel days when I was growing up, and love that kind of stuff. And Spider-Man always had a sixth sense, a spider sense, he called it all the time, that know when things are going bad and things are happening, something's wrong, or something that tells you something that's happening somewhere in the future, or telling you something's about to happen. Well, let's examine this idea of the sixth sense, because the same thing Napoleon Hill is basically saying is focusing that we all have. Now, women have intuition, and I think this is why a lot of times women's intuition is correct, because they sense something. And the same thing can be said for any one of us. We sense things. We go ahead and say, okay, I'm thinking this is happening, something's happening. Now, in order to do that, gang, for a male standpoint, we have to be clear and pure. Let me kind of go over this a little bit, because in my opinion, the easier, and I kind of move my thing over a little bit here, the easier thing to realize is that when you're clogged up, and I mean by clogged up, I mean by foods and drugs and medications and things like that, you're not going to have that sort of ability to really go ahead and kind of hear things, right? And listen to your voice inside of you. And this goes back to the whole thing about, fasting and being on your plan and being retention and all those type of things, and having that sort of ability when you're on your journey to hear the things around you. And this is why people never use their sixth sense. A lot of times they don't believe their sixth sense. Sometimes they don't feel like that it's either something is just kind of a passing thought, things like that. This is why it's important, and why I believe that going on your journey brings you closer to your Creator, because your Creator has had inside of you, your conscious, your voice, those things are always warning you of things that are happening. Now, we never listen most of the time, because we tend to believe, okay, what we see. We don't believe inside of us there's anything actually happening, or anything warning us about anything that's going to happen, okay? But I know, for instance, that I become a lot closer to my Creator as I'm on this journey for 530 some days, and monk mode 50 some days, okay? I know that I've heard things now as I'm doing this, as I'm meditating, as I'm fasting, I see these things, and these things appear to me, and they tell me solutions to my problems. Now, I don't think that's very unrealistic, because you are trying to figure out problems throughout your head. Life is really about problem solving. And you're trying to figure out what is the answer to the problem that I have. What is my solution to all this? And guys, I think the thing is that you have to pay attention more to that sixth sense. Now, how do you even hear your sixth sense more? Once again, the things we're talking about here, guys. When you're on your retention, and now you're not distracted by, things like images on the screen, or women, or if you're a woman, men, all those things, or you're eating too much, all these type of things, drugs, gambling, all these addictions become very distracting. And because of that, you're not really listening to those things around you, inside of you, that are telling you and giving you that sixth sense. And I think that really, that's the whole key to the situation. I think I have an ambulance coming through here, or a fire truck, and we see that, and so that's it. Okay. And so as we look at this again, as we're talking about this, the idea, guys, is that we need to be as pure as we can in order to be helped by our sixth sense. And that means that you have to live a healthy life. And so we see on our society a lot of people taking, and I see this more now they're taking even psychedelic drugs, and they're coming out research saying it calms and relaxes and things like that. Well, I can tell you, my friends, back in the 60s and early 70s, they just said the same thing, right? I think we had a professor at Yale talking about, Timothy Leary talking about zoning in and zooming out and things like that, because of drugs, and people were taking LSD, all kinds of things in research and trying to figure out, is it good for your brain and things like that. Well, guys, the bottom line really is, when you look at this, is that you have everything inside of you need. And I think this is the misnomer people have. They feel that their body, their mind, what God has given them is not good enough to overcome stress and depression and all these other things that people have. But these are man-made problems people have. And you don't have solutions that are ungodlike. And I believe that a lot of times people resort to these other types of things because they have some disturbance in their soul, something that's telling them that their natural abilities, their natural immunity is not going to save them and not going to make them happy. And guys, the 1% Club, you guys realize that what you really need to do is start to retain. And when you retain, all of a sudden now you become more of your pure self. This is an amazing discovery, and I have felt this sixth sense more recently, and the more I'm doing this monk mode, I'm feeling it more and more and more. I can't tell you how incredible this feeling is. You guys know this, as you guys have been doing this. All of a sudden you get out of this world, this blue pill world we're in, where you're thinking about everything is going to be solved by, go ahead and, take these pills, or take this medicine, or take this food, or do this, or have sex, or have these type of lascivious and selfish and pleasurable behaviors. That's going to make you happy. And that is so far from the truth that it is astonishing that it took me so many years to figure this out. Guys, what you really got to do is sit back and look and saying, okay, I am going to start this journey. And when I'm on this journey, now I'm going to realize I need to build self-control. Go back to the 3 C's again. Control, right? And then you build confidence, saying, okay, I'm going to do now, if I do this, now I can start doing, watching what foods I eat, right? And then I'm going to start, doing a little bit of prayer, meditation. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a little fasting if I feel like it, okay? And doing more exercising. And now I'm going to build more connections and try to be more successful on things that you're doing. All these type of things come from the basic foundation that you're as strong as you can be. you're getting as much benefits as you can be. You know, and I decided that I wanted to live a good long life and still want to live a long life. I don't know how long I'm going to live, but I will tell you that over the last 500 and some days, 50 some days, I'm at the best that I've ever felt since I was a young boy at 10, 12 years old. These feelings are unbelievable. So even if I go tomorrow, guys, I feel the best I've felt. And I feel closer to the Lord now than I've ever felt. And I just know it's going to get better and better. Because I think that the secret to all this is not losing all that energy. Unless, of course, you're going to procreate. But God did not intend us to be having sex all over the place with people. I mean, we saw this with the Roman Empire. We saw that with the Babylons way back when. We saw that with Sodom and Gomorrah. All these places got destroyed because of all this lascivious behavior. And what it comes back down to is people not doing those basic things that God intended. And getting back closer to God will bring you back to that sixth sense, this idea, this voice inside of you that's telling you, okay, I'm going to be able to achieve this goal, and God is going to help me solve problems. Once again, God is a solver of problems. You can solve problems through your own abilities and through God's help. And I believe that what ends up happening is that you go ahead and say, okay, I have this issue, I'm trying to solve it, I'm going to go to prayer, meditation, and I'm going to find the answer and listen. And this becomes your sixth sense, that something happens and all of a sudden the answer pops up. I've had this happen so many times when I'm in tune. You have to be in tune. And on this journey, I've been a lot more in tune than I have before. So the idea, guys, as you're looking at is going ahead and saying, okay, I'm going to figure out the answers to this, whether it's financial, relationships, whatever it might be. And I'm going to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and solve this issue. And we're going to find the answer. And long as I have to pray, and long as I have to meditate, we're going to figure out how to solve this. And sure enough, a lot of times the answer comes when I'm not even thinking about it. I'm in the shower, taking my cold showers. I'm over there, walking my dog, exercising, and all of a sudden the answer comes. I'm teaching, I'm tutoring, I'm helping people, and all of a sudden the answer comes. And a lot of times it comes out of the blue when you're not really concentrating on it. And so we go back to this idea that recognizing how important it is to have that inner voice, that sense that you can try to solve your problems. But guys, you can only do that if you're not distracted, watching women walking by, watching movies or images that are taking you away from God. Every time you do that, you're moving away from the Lord. You're moving away from God every time you do that. And I think anytime you're going to go into these destructive behaviors, and I'm talking about gambling, I'm talking about sex, I'm talking about overeating, I'm talking about doing drugs, whether you're doing psychedelic drugs or weed, whatever it might be, right? Marijuana, all these type of things, to me, are things you do not need in your body. Your body has got enough of those things within yourself to be healthy, strong, vigorous. And that's what this whole channel is about. Do not be putting stuff into your body ever that is going to hurt you or it's going to have side effects. Now, I can't say never, 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 because you may be in a situation where you need some help immediately, whether you have an accident or something happens where you got to have surgery on something. That's a little different situation. But I've seen so many people over the years destroy themselves by putting stuff inside of them. And the worst thing of it all is you're losing communication with the Lord. The sixth sense, to me, is your communication with God. And that's going to come out of you being a pure person. Back to retention, back to being healthy, back to being as best you can be and taking care of yourself. And I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60 like myself. We got a lot of time to work on this. And even if we don't have a lot of time, the best days, your last days, if they are the last days at some point, will be your best days. And that's the way you want to end anything, right? Finish out on top and be the best you can be. All right, guys, until next time, battle on.